Next thing I want to cover off with you is all of the ways that you can be capitalizing on the trends. So these are just a few examples. If you've downloaded the free report on the website, I encourage you to do that if you haven't done that. It's on www.partnerup.com.au/free-report. And that just goes into wherever you are in the world. I know we've got a lot of clients around the world and people in our community around the world. But if you look up the GE Global Innovation Barometer of 2013, and I've got the links in that report and I've got some of the key graphs, it shows you what's trending. And about 87%, I think, of businesses around the world of all sizes believe that we would innovate better in partnership than on our own. The main reasons cited, which goes into as well, as to why companies aren't partnering, funnily enough, I saw that graph after I developed these programs, are really covered off in our 6 steps and covered off in the sequence of what's most important. The really interesting thing in that report was that of all of the objections and the reasons why companies aren't partnering, size and location of the business was not a factor. And I think that's a really exciting trend. So if you look at these examples on the screen, on the left there you've got Shoes of Prey, which was a tech startup 2010, and David Jones, which was a very well established, very large department store chain in Australia. They formed an alliance a couple of years ago now. So Shoes of Prey weren't even that old. And it's been a big win-win alliance for them and distribution channel for Shoes of Prey. So they don't have to go out and start setting up retail shop fronts. Bubbler there is one of our new clients, and she had done a fantastic job building her community of mums to 50,000 between her database and her online community. And it's a group buying site for mums. Now, Katrina is absolutely partner friendly and really smart in the way that she runs her business. Contrary to the bad rap a lot of group buying sites have probably earned by not being partner friendly, she really looks for the win-win for her customers, and her merchants. Now, she had built her community to 50,000 in under 2 years using strategic alliances. She's actively looking for partners Australia-wide to deliver deals to her members. And she works with them on how you use this type of platform effectively to build your database and to build your as a branding exercise. So that's another opportunity, and I'm sure there are many examples around the world of other companies like this that are really up and coming and doing amazing work that you could be aligning with. And I've seen a whole stack of other examples. If you're not on our Facebook page, I'd encourage you to go there because I post a lot of articles that have really interesting information and examples of amazing alliances all around the world, which you can get a lot of insight into just looking at and really get yourself into the mindset. I'll just touch on a couple more here. American Express run a brilliant initiative which started in the US. They're now running it in Australia called Shop Small. And they provide a lot of support to small and medium-sized enterprises through that initiative. I think it's brilliant what they're doing, and I think that when you know how to fully leverage these opportunities, you can get an enormous amount of value out of them. So we make sure that our community are aware of a lot of these opportunities and how they can take advantage. And that's the thing, there are lots of opportunities out there if you know how to find them. The other great place to look for alliances, and very, very effective ones, and I'll show you a case study shortly, is the associations. So we have thousands of them here, and they are always looking for ways to add value to their memberships. So we have a directory that you can buy, from a company in Australia, and I'm sure you've got them in other countries as well. So that's another really great way to locate amazing partners. So this is an Australian statistic, but as I said, the GE Global Innovation Barometer talks about the global statistics. But I thought this was really interesting, and I know that the E-Myth talks about the way that many entrepreneurs have an entrepreneurial spasm and die a slow, painful death over the first 5 years. So, this is a statistic which shows you the way things are changing, and you have an opportunity to capitalize on those trends. So 1 in 3 businesses said they plan, and this was small businesses, said they plan to pursue marketing partnerships to get their name in front of new customers. Now, interestingly enough, it's become a more popular strategy than social media and SEO. So again, what was really interesting was somebody told me when I was talking to them about this that only 3% of businesses are actually doing it. So if it's such a great strategy, why are so few businesses actually doing it? And the reason for that is they just don't know how. So you have a real opportunity here to get ahead of the trend and to really capitalize on the opportunities before your competitors get onto it. So let me give you an insight into one of our case studies. And again, as I said, all the case studies I use are 100% real, and you can follow up with a lot of these guys if you want to. When we started building these programs, we went for some smaller alliances, and that's all part of getting partner ready. And even though I've done alliances at all levels during my career, I know that at different stages of a business, you've got to target different types of alliances. So in the early days of these programs, I obviously, we didn't have the systems to support, massive growth. So we needed to start small, and we went to some really, really well-aligned brands in Australia, like the ones you can see there, and started with those guys. And these are some of the results that we achieved. That we sourced 30, and I did this in 90 days as a bit of a challenge just to prove what's possible. So we sourced $30,000 in professional services. We doubled our sales off one webinar. We got $11,000 in sales from one email. We grew the database by 460%, and we tripled our cash flow. That was in 90 days through a few small alliances that I turned around pretty quickly. We then were ready to go to the likes of American Express, and we did an alliance with them towards the end of last year. So, these are absolutely real results that you can get when you form the right strategic alliances. So I'm really interested, and I'd love if you sent me an email or sent me some comments if you're watching this. And I'm always keen to know whether the people that we're in our community have done alliances before. Most of the people have. Some people haven't started because they didn't know where to start. Some people get stuck in common places. And again, it's why we've structured the programs the way we have. And the other question I get asked a lot is, do I go for a big alliance or a small alliance? As I touched on in the slide before, it really depends on the stage of your business. It depends on how scaled you are for growth. It really depends on what your ambitions are as well. One of our strategic partners that I'll give you a case study on, he hired an alliance partner, an alliance manager. And he said she was so good at her job that she generated too much business and it was interfering with his lifestyle objectives. So, this is really a case of how big you go depends on, how much you want to turn the tap on, and it also depends on the alignment. What we do recommend is that you have sometimes a mixed strategy, which means you start with some low-hanging fruit. They're usually your smaller partners. Builds your confidence, gets you some quick wins, and you can then have some medium and larger partners on the go, but they take longer to negotiate. So it's always worth having a mixed strategy in most cases. So I want to tell you what you don't need to be successful in this strategy. You don't need a lot of time. You don't need a lot of money. People get really excited by this slide. I know I do. You don't need to be super successful already. You don't need to have a large network. You don't need to have an extroverted personality. So I do, and probably a little bit less so since moving to the mountains. I'm not as out there as I used to be. But, you don't need that, which is fantastic. We have a lot of introverted people that work with us. And you don't need to go to lots of networking events. Now, I was really excited by that and people are shocked when I say this, but I actually don't like going to a lot of networking events. And there are a lot of networking events that I don't like, period. Sometimes they're really awkward, and you end up with a stack of business cards to people that you would never do business with or never partner with. And sometimes it can just be a bit of a waste of time and energy. Now, I know with my lifestyle now and my kids and where I live, I just don't have time for it. And what we've worked hard on with these programs is creating ways and strategies and very, very clear blueprints and templates for creating relationships very effectively using social media. And using online channels and online means of communication, using Skype and phone. There's so much you can do before you actually meet someone face to face. Ultimately, the purpose is to get somebody offline, particularly if they're a big, valuable strategic partner. But there's so much you can do, and sometimes you don't even need to meet with them face to face, and that's really exciting. I talk about the three, I sent a blog out if you're on our subscriber list recently about our top three sales conversion strategies. And the number one by far is partnership marketing and strategic alliances. The second one is our referrals, and the third one is LinkedIn. And I go into a lot more detail. I'd encourage you to read that article on our website. And, I talk about the need to nurture your first followers and have a partner-friendly mentality when it comes to your your early adopters and your clients, and that's how you really maximize your referrals. And aside from our obvious, strategies in partnership marketing, LinkedIn is an extremely powerful tool that 99% of people don't leverage, and actually do a bad job of it. So even simple things like that, and we go into those things in quite a lot of depth, and we have checklists on how you can quickly and easily optimize your LinkedIn profile. And we've had amazing clients that we've attracted through LinkedIn, and we've formed amazing alliances that we attracted through LinkedIn as well.